Laptop computer spins onto the screen, opens, and displays ATP Education Program webinar series, closes, and then spins off the screen.
Hello and welcome to today's video on assistive technology supports for students who struggle with attention. This is a pretty huge topic because we all know of students who really can struggle when they need to attend to what's going on in the classroom. This can be one of the biggest struggles in a classroom, especially because attention then flows into struggles with memory, and we have students who aren't learning the content that we need them to every day. Hi, if you've not met me before, my name's Cassie Frost. I'm an assistive technology specialist and behavior specialist. I also like to add problem solver and collector of things that may come in handy, and as always, a believer that everyone can learn. My Twitter handle is here on this page, and I will share my contact information, including my email, on the last slide. So let's get into attention. Attention is unique and the only area of executive function that is hierarchical. I love that word. So what does that mean? That means that you cannot obtain the next level of attention until you have the one prior to it. So, for example, you cannot have sustained attention if you don't first have focused attention. So let's look at these. The very first area of attention is focused attention. This is being able to focus on one stimuli. Most often, we will have students who will develop this as an infant. This is typically when a baby is looking at a parent or a toy that's being waved in front of them, and they're focusing on that one thing. Once that's down, a student or a child can then move on to sustained attention. This is being able to, we'll say vigilance and persistence. It also just means how long the student or the child can pay attention to one thing. This is oftentimes where we'll talk about toddlers really liking commercials, right? They really like those short bursts of color and activity. Longer things don't hold their attention as much. This is also why when we work with elementary school students, especially like preschool and kindergarten students, we don't have tasks that last as long as we expect students to be able to attend to in, say, the junior high or the high school. If a student has sustained attention, meaning they can pay attention to one thing for an extended period of time, the next level then is selective attention. This is that freedom from distractibility, meaning if a student is expected to be attending to one thing, perhaps reading a book, watching a movie, playing a video game, watching their teacher, any one of a number of things, that they're not distracted when something else happens. So say, for example, the wind blows through the room, the principal opens the classroom door, any one of those things. As I'm saying that, I know you're probably already thinking of one or two students who struggle in this area. It's important to hang on to that thought as we keep talking, because if a student is struggling with this area of attention, they're likely not going to do well with the following ones. If you now have focused attention, sustained attention, you can have selective attention. The next step then is alternating attention. Mental flexibility. This is where you have the ability to be doing one thing, stop what you're doing, switch to something else, and come back to it. Okay, so if I'm listening to the teacher, then the principal walks in the door, I turn, I look at him, and I can come back again to the teacher. So you have the ability to switch between multiple thoughts or multiple activities at one time. The final area, if all has gone well and we have students getting into junior high and high school, we then can be looking at divided attention, or what some people will call multitasking. Some people will say, and some studies have shown, that you're not truly multitasking or thinking of multiple or attending to multiple things at one time, but more that you are alternating between things very rapidly. Oftentimes, we are expecting students to have divided attention by the time they're reaching junior high and high school, as we're asking them to do things like watch a video and take notes, right? Listen to the teacher while getting your assignment out. We require and request this of our students very, very often. What's important to remember is, as I was talking about sustained and selective attention, there are certain students that popped into your mind that maybe struggle in that area. If they're already struggling there, they're not going to be able to do two things at one time, such as listen to you and write in their planner. What this means then is we often have students who aren't writing their assignments in at the end of the day because they can't do both of those things at once. So as we're talking about attention, I just want you to kind of keep in mind what it is you're asking your students to do in class, and if it's possible to kind of slow things down or break things up so you're not asking students to multitask or do two things at one time if you know you have students in your classroom who are struggling with attention. Now let's take a little bit of time, and just like in previous videos, we are going to break it down and go into some Chrome tools, some iOS tools, some low-tech tools, things that are going to work as assistive technology to help students who struggle with attention. The very first thing that we are going to look at are Chrome extensions. So let me jump out of this slide deck for just a moment. The first extension that I like for attention is called Move It. This is an extension that encourages movement breaks. We know that students who struggle with attention, especially that sustained attention that can't attend for long periods of time, movement breaks in between activities can really help reset the brain and be ready to attend again for another period of time. Move It is a Chrome extension that looks like this. When you click on it, it's going to come up with a red box that's going to ask you how often you want to have exercise or movement breaks. I have this one set currently for 10 minutes. If I want it to be currently active, meaning I want to actually have it pop up, I'm going to leave it enabled. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to shorten that down to 5 minutes. So in 5 minutes, you will see it pop up and I can show you what that screen looks like. The second extension is called Noisely. We know that students who struggle with attention sometimes will actually say they may have an excess of attention. And that's when they're kind of back on, here we go, that freedom from distractibility piece, meaning they're paying attention to so many things at one time that it's really hard for them to pay attention just to you or to the lesson. Sometimes for those students, having the availability of kind of utilizing one of their senses, so like a fidget with their hands or something that they can listen to, will help them block out or use up some of that attention so they can pay attention to what you need them to. So Noisely is a Chrome extension. I'm going to see if I can find it on here. It appears that it is gone. Did I accidentally turn it off? Nope, it's there. Okay, well, let me go find Noisely. I have too many extensions. Here we go. So Noisely, when you click on it, allows you to schedule or pick out different types of background noises. So instead of a student maybe listening to music, they instead can pick out different background sounds. So for example, they can click on productivity, and this is the noise that will be playing in the background. Now, recording on the video, sometimes audio doesn't come through. If you can't hear it, just kind of know that it is playing in the background. You can turn it up, you can turn it down. There are paid versions that do have more features. Most students are pretty happy with the availability that is here. If you want more information or to be able to customize it a little bit further, if you do go to the Noisely website, you there can make more kind of fine tuning of the different background noises. The last Chrome extension specifically that I think works really well for attention is called Momentum. Momentum is a Chrome extension that you install, but you don't normally get to it from here. The way that Momentum works is it overrides your defaults for new tabs. So if I am going to create a new tab, Momentum will take over, and instead of the standard background tab that comes up, this is the one that I will get. This allows me to kind of have a moment of focus. Okay, so again, sort of that attention thing. It's going to give me the time. It's going to tell me the time of day. It's going to ask me what my focus is. It's going to kind of give me a quote. It has a place up here where I can keep track of links that I may want to access. And it also is going to give me kind of my place to keep my to-do list. Now, this is customizable. You can go ahead into settings and you can change what you want available to you. So you can kind of decide that maybe you don't want the quote and instead you want a mantra, or you can pick certain quotes that you want to see. Those are all ways that you can customize Momentum. For attention, this is really great because of being on a computer. Sometimes when you create a new tab or you're out and about online, there's a lot of distractions, right? Computers are great, but they are full of distractions for students who struggle with attention. Momentum is a solid way every time a new tab is open to kind of bring students' focus back to what it is they need to be doing and kind of center them back into the task at hand. Just like with Chrome, iOS also has some really awesome tools. One of the first amazing tools on iOS, and I'm just going to move my screen here real quick. My screen is not sharing. Give me just a second to bring that up. There we go. Okay, so one of the first tools that I really like for iOS is guided access. Guided access is simply a setting that's available in accessibility that allows you to go ahead and customize the availability of things in your iPad. What that means is that you can set passcodes, you can set time limits. This is really great for students who struggle with the amount of time that they have on an iPad, or they're getting distracted by other things on it. You simply can go ahead and set limits to what the student can do on the iPad, and this is built in. The next things that I like about an iPad is they are really good for self-regulation, for calming things. When it comes to attention, we know if a student's kind of feeling dysregulated and all over the place, attention is one of the first things that will struggle or cause an issue. So 2 apps that I want to show today. The very first one is called Mindful Powers. Mindful Powers is a mindfulness app that allows students to play with this little guy on the screen that's going to be called a fidgety gibbet. I can never pronounce it really well. But as you can see, he's not super happy at the moment. I can set focus time for periods of time that I need to stay focused without touching the screen. I can pick mindful play, and I also can touch my little fidgety gibbet here. So what's really great about him, I'm going to go into mindful play, and here then there's a whole story of what it is, what is mindfulness, how does it work? So it is really nice to be able to go in and kind of interact with this little guy. Typically, what you're going to be able to do is it's going to ask you to smooth him out by moving your finger back and forth on him, and he will get super happy and calm the more you smooth him out. But what that does mean is you have to move your finger very slowly on the screen to make that happen. A little less animated, there is an app called Pause. The way that this app works is it asks you to put your finger on the dot on the screen, and then it asks you to follow the dot with your finger. If you go too fast, it's going to tell you that you do not have your finger in the right spot, and it's also not going to make the dot any bigger. The more you keep your finger inside the circle, the bigger that dot is going to get, and it's going to kind of grow across the entire screen. If you move too quickly, instead that dot is going to shrink. So it really motivates students to kind of slow down and focus. Again, this then helps with that attention piece because students who are not as emotionally escalated definitely have proven abilities to be able to attend for longer periods of time. As long as we're talking about self-regulation, the other thing that I want to show you is a tool called the Pip. Okay, and I'm going to show you here on this little corner on the screen here. Okay, let me get that in front. This little thing is called the Pip. If you're looking for it, you will need to actually search the Pip, okay, just because otherwise it thinks it's picture in picture. This little thing is about $150, but what it works as is a biofeedback reader. So these little circles on each side, you hold between your fingers, and it reads the electrical impulses in your body and in your system to talk then about and read how you are feeling stress-wise. So these apps that are looking on the screen right now go along with the Pip. Once you've purchased the Pip, the apps are free. So the one purchase is the Pip. But again, if a student is feeling dysregulated, they're very emotionally escalated, we know that attention is going to struggle. The PIP is something to really help students both visualize their stress levels, but also learn how to manage them. So let's look at one of these iPad apps. We're going to start with a Pip Stress Tracker. I'm going to click New Session. I can pick the length of time that I want the session to go and push Start. You are going to see here that as this line goes up, so more red means that I am more escalated. Obviously, I am on camera and being recorded, so that kind of gets me all excited. So you see it going up. However, if I take some deep breaths, calm down just a little bit, you're going to see that the red will decrease. So this is a really easy way for a student to gauge how they are feeling and to get themselves in a more calm place where they are able to attend more. I'm going to jump out of this app real quick because I also want to then show you a couple of the other apps on here. There's one called The Loom that allows students to do things like see a winter scene, and as they calm, spring comes. So that's always a student favorite. If I pick this one and continue, you're going to see it is a winter scene. On the bottom left, it's going to show where I'm at. Obviously, green is calm, yellow is kind of holding steady, red is not so calm. The more green events that you have, the faster the snow will melt, water will start flowing, leaves will come onto the tree, and students will, kind of be able to calm themselves as they are going. There are a few other ones on here. It's important to know that Clarity will actually walk students through the process of calming down or self-regulation. And Relax and Race actually races dragons by calming down. This was one of my favorite things as an educator. We actually have students racing to calm down. I think that's just one of the most unique things ever. So while I was doing that, we did have another screen pop up here saying Move It. This is that Move It extension in work. It's been 5 minutes since it started, so it's now going to pop up and remind me that I need to move. It's going to ask me to run on the spot for 15 seconds. It may also ask you to do jumping jacks or other things. Still usually only about a 15-second movement break. And when you're finished, you can click Done. It will go away and that 5 minutes restarts. So these are all of our high-tech assistive technology tools for emotional and regulation and attention in the area of executive functioning. But before we end this short video, I also want to look at some low-tech things. When it comes to attention, oftentimes outside of things like fidgets and audio, most of the adaptations to support are environmental. This means that in your classroom, try to limit unnecessary visuals. While we all love posters and colorful things on the wall, for a student who struggles with attention, it's just more things that they need to try to block out. If you do want bright colors and posters and extra things like that, try to put them off to the sides or behind students so that when they are looking at the screen or the board, they have just that to attend to. Provide as many video and visual or audio cues as possible. So when a student's going to need to attend, you are going to make an announcement, either give an audio cue, such as, okay guys, or a bell, something that they know that now they need to attend to this next thing, or a visual cue like a certain color that you put up on the screen, etc. Also having assigned locations for things. So if a student maybe needs to do some quiet reading, having a location that they always go to do that. If they're going to be working with a group project, always having that in the same location. It really helps students who struggle, especially in that area of multitasking or trying to switch back and forth, if they know what's going to be happening in each location. So if you have any questions, as always, reach out to me at my email or Twitter handle on the screen. And again, remember that if a student is struggling with a previous version of attention, they are not going to be able to move on to those further levels. So I challenge you to look at your systems in your classroom, look at your lessons and try to see how often you are asking students to do things like multitask or quickly switch between things, and eliminate those, if at all possible, when you have students who struggle with attention. I hope you join us for future videos, and I hope you have enjoyed this one.
Thank you for watching. For more information on the ATP Education Program, please visit our website at atp.nebraska.gov/education or email us at atp.education@nebraska.gov.